الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. اللهم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. سبحانك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. أنت المقدم وأنت المؤخر وأنت على كل شيء قدير. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما والتفرق بعده تفرقا معصوما ولا تدع فينا شقيا ولا محروما. In the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most compassionate, the most merciful, all praise and thanks are due to Him, and peace and blessings be upon His beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He who is guided by the will of Allah, no one can misguide him, and he who is misguided, no one can guide him except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today is our session 46 in chapter Aal Imran, Tuesday the 9th of June 2026. Last time we were highlighting the concept of the universal laws according to قول الله تعالى قد خلت من قبلكم سنن فسيروا في الأرض فانظروا كيف كان عاقبة المكذبين. Similar situation came to pass before you, so travel through the land to see the fate of the deniers. We call this هذا بيان للناس وهدى وموعظة للمتقين ولا تهنوا ولا تحزنوا وأنتم الأعلون إن كنتم مؤمنين. This is an insight to humanity, a guide and a lesson to the God-fearing. Do not falter or grieve, for you will have the upper hand if you are true believers. Last time we finished this with a quick highlight to the concept of universal laws, Sunan Kawniyya. We said the universal laws basically, what we are concerned with the universal laws, the individual universal laws and the group or society or community universal laws. Now apart from this, we have another type of universal law, which is the natural, like the physics and the math and chemistry, which is part of the universal law, but it's not part of our discussion because chemistry is part of the universal law. Physics is part of the universal law. The cosmology is part of the universal law. The biology is part of the universal law. Geology is part of the universal law. Okay, the movement of the blood is part of the universal law. What happens, in the ecosystem, generally speaking, agriculture, the water, the heat, the atmosphere, outside, all of this is universal laws, but the natural one. Now we are concerned here in when we say a universal law, we call السنن الكونية الاجتماعية, the social and the personal. Okay? Part of this, such as إن تنصروا الله ينصركم ويثبت أقدامكم ومن يتوكل على الله فهو حسبه ومن يتق الله يجعل له مخرجا. Such as, if you are mindful of Allah, if you are fearful of Allah, Allah will show you the exit, or Allah will create the exit, or Allah will bring the exit. This is part of the law, universal law, but it is individual and social, which has to do with the relation. Law means Allah has decided. A law means it will not be forcing you the natural. Natural, it works by default. For example, the natural law says if you are inside the water without a mean of oxygen more than a few seconds or minutes, you will die. This is a natural law. You are underwater, no direct supply of oxygen, you will not live. Period. Okay? But natural. Now, the same thing, like for example, 1 + 1, 2. It's a mathematical law. It's not 1.5. It's not 3. Now, this is because it's physical and direct and logical and very tangible, easily you can deal with it. Now, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا, it's a little bit hidden. If you are mindful of Allah, Allah will show you the exit, or Allah bring the exit. Okay, mindful. Am I mindful? Yes, no. So it's a little bit untangible area. That's something you touch it by your hand. You need to work hard. It has to do with the feelings. It has to do with the intention. It has to do with the, like ghaib area. So you need to work hard on this. But the law, وَمَنْ يَتَقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ وَمَنْ يَتَقِ, if you trust Allah, فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ, Allah will take care of anything because you trusted Him. طيب, إن تنصروا الله ينصركم ويثبت أقدامكم. If you support the cause of Allah, if you give victory to what pleases Allah, if you support what pleases Allah, Allah will support what pleases you. Hello. So, depending on this law, if I'm facing, for example, by the way, part of the universal law, disrespecting the parents will stop rizq and barakah and tawfiq in your life. So if I'm facing a serious problem in my life, I'm doing everything, but I'm not finding the guidance, the tawfiq in all the blessings. I need to check, like a checklist. On the top of checklist, what is my relation with my parents? Because the dua of the mother of the father against me is one of the most assurance ways to stop tawfiq and barakah in life. And according to many hadith, one of the most well-known direct punishments in this dunya before the akhirah, which Allah has promised, is disrespecting the parents. So, and by the way, it happened with me many times. A sister comes to my office at the university. She's a hijabi, takes care of the prayer, memorizes a little part of the Quran. She does not have any kind of haram things. She comes crying because she has a lot of problem in her life, and because of it was repeated many times. I ask a question. I said, sister, after she explains, look, I do this, and I support, and I help people memorizing the Quran, and I support the MSA, and I said, one question, how's your relation with your mother? She said, She stops. Many times. To a degree that I became by default. When they finish, how's your relation with your mother? Excuse me? How's your relation with your mother? Why you're asking? I'm asking, you came to me to help. I'm supposed to be the expert. I'm asking you because I know there could be a problem. Actually, it's a disaster. I hardly leave the home without screaming in her face. Okay, khalas, the reason is there. Forget everything else. Anyway, this we did last night. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continues. You know, this is the context of the Battle of Uhud. Allah says, إِن يَمْسَسْكُمْ قَرْحٌ فَقَدْ مَسَّ الْقَوْمَ قَرْحٌ مِثْلُهُ وَتِلْكَ الْأَيَّامُ نُدَاوِلُهَا بَيْنَ النَّاسِ وَلِيَعْلَمَ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَيَتَّخِذَ مِنْكُمْ شُهَدَاءَ وَاللَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الظَّالِمِينَ. Allah is giving us one of the social and personal universal laws to be applied directly on them after he said sunan, which means he means law. Look now, he says, if you have suffered injuries at Uhud, they suffered similarly at Badr. Allah is reminding them the law. No one will be up always, no one will be down always. If you are facing, because they lost 70 of their great Sahaba in Uhud, they were killed. On top of them, Hamza radiallahu anhu, one of the most beloved of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hamza radiallahu anhu, he was killed in Uhud. And if you have suffered injuries at Uhud, they suffered similarly at Badr. We alternate these days of victory and defeat among people. We alternate these days, نداولها, sometimes with you, sometimes I get you. بين الناس, not between believers, and بين الناس, generally. It's like a general universal laws. No one, good or bad, will stay always on the top. It's a universal law. Because even if you are good in the top, the disease will come to you. You know, if you are in the top and you are good, after a while, you'll start feeling that you deserve this because you are the best. Arrogance, power, ultimate power, whatever, you know, the disease come. Which is like when you see the civilizations, for example. Now Muslims at Andalus, 800 years. Most of the inventions that the Western civilization, materialistic inventions, they are proud of, 90% of them, the roots of them came from Muslims in Andalus. The roots in math, even, you know, the car, the lenses, cameras, many of them, optical world, mechanical world, you know, most of them, Al-Jazri, Al-Khwarizmi. Oh no, do you know what you say? Algorithm, Al-Khwarizm, which is all of mathematics, programming, AI, computer, everything is because of Al-Khwarizmi, a Muslim scholar. All computer and AI, they are based on the invention of one Muslim scholar. Completely. Camera, Ibn al-Haytham. Mechanic, you know, all of them. Such and such, many scholars, the idea. But when they became so luxurious, they started doing bad things. They started fighting each other. They're starting doing haram things. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala withdrew the superiority from them. Then the Catholic Christians in Spain, they attacked them. Ferdinand and Isabel, they started killing Muslims, and they did the inquisitions, mahakim al-taftish. Anyway, the point. If you have suffered injuries at Uhud, they, the non-believers, suffered similarly at Badr. We alternate these days of victory and defeat among people so that Allah may reveal the true believers. It's part of the test. You will not stay on the top even if you are a believer. You will face, the test. Wow. Yes, you will face the test. Allah will send you tests. قال, that Allah may reveal the two true believers. Choose martyrs from among you, and Allah does not like the wrongdoers. So Allah is testing the true believers and choosing martyrs. Which is a universal law, sunnah kawniyya. The test will be there. What will happen all the time? Go through the history. حروب الردة, the apostasy wars, immediately. Big test for Muslims. After that, the dispute that happened between Ali radiallahu anhu and Aisha, after the killing of Uthman radiallahu anhu. A lot of political disputes. And the wicked people, they entered in this. So some Sahaba, they were killed. So it's another big challenge and test. After a while, Umar radiallahu anhu, sorry, before that, Umar, he was killed by Abu Lu'lu al-Majusi. Okay? Uthman radiallahu anhu was killed by a group of rebellions. So it's a test after a test, after a test, after a test. The Umayyad. After that, some Umayyad, we used to have, after Muawiyah, then Yazid bin Muawiyah, then we have Al-Marwan bin Al-Hakam, Hisham ibn Al-Hakam, Marwan, all of this, till Umar bin Abdul Aziz. So we have a lot of ups and downs among Muslims, a lot of tests. We used to have a lot of tabi'een at that time. With the test, Al-Hajjaj, one of the disasters that Muslims face at that time. Al-Hajjaj lived in a time where still some Sahaba, they were living. Abdullah ibn Zubayr, the son of Az-Zubayr ibn Awwam, the son of Asma bint Abi Bakr. Abdullah ibn Zubayr, sorry, I don't remember if he's a Sahabi or a Tabi'i, because he was very young at the time of Umar radiallahu anhu. So Abdullah ibn Zubayr was and a lot of great Sahaba from Tabi'een and Sahaba, they were killed on the hand of Al-Hajjaj. Another test. What shall I do? How to deal? So it's not always just a bed of roses. We have a lot of tests. Sumayya radiallahu anhu, from the very beginning, she was killed in Mecca. Anyway, the idea, I will now read it again. If you have suffered injuries at Uhud, they suffered similarly at Badr. We alternate these days of victory and defeat among people so that Allah may reveal the true believers, which means, expose them, bring them to the surface to be known, and they will be witnessing what they have done, and those who did the wrong thing will be witnessed. And in the day of judgment, none of us will have the power to say, why, Ya Allah, you are doing me so and so, because I was given the chance to prove it, and I did what I wanted to do, and I proved whether I'm a true believer or simply I don't care. And by the way, all the test of what we are living in this dunya is just to prove whether we deserve, even though, by the way, in theory, philosophically, there is a big dilemma in the mind. Allah knows from the very beginning when He created us where we will go as a final destination. Which means, if in theory, if he created us, then he threw those who deserve the Jannah to the Jannah, and those who deserve Jahannam to Jahannam. How we will reject? Say, Allah, on what base you are torturing me? Allah knows. Okay, prove. We are living on the chance to prove whether we deserve Jannah or Jahannam. Allah knows. I don't know, you don't know. But we are on the struggle and the tests, with the ups and downs, with the tense of, chances. So if you have suffered, they suffered as well. We alternate these days of victory and defeat among people. So Allah will reveal the true believers and will choose martyrs from among you. And Allah does not like the wrongdoers. Because in our calculations, in our concept, in our understanding, the end of the story is not this dunya. For us, oh, miskin, he lost his life. This poor, he lost his life. For us, he's not poor. He's a martyr. Okay. A non-believer will not understand what we are saying. Will not. That's why one of the interesting things happened, or let me just please, after I finish next ayah, just someone remind me Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani. Abdurrahman, just when I finish next ayah, just tell me Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, okay? I want to add something, but I want just to combine the two ayat, okay? Allah then continues, أم حسبتم وليمحص الله الذين آمنوا ويمحق الكافرين, and distinguish the true believers and destroy the disbelievers. أم حسبتم أن تدخلوا الجنة ولما يعلم الله الذين جاهدوا منكم ويعلم الصابرين. Do you think you will enter paradise without Allah proving which of you truly struggled for his case and patiently endured? Which means Allah is giving me the chance to prove whether I deserve the Jannah or not. Now the word حتى اللهم صل وسلم قال تدخلوا ولما يعلم الله. Do you think you will enter without Allah proving? Now in Arabic, ولما يعلم, till Allah knows. The ilm of Allah قال علم ظهور, which means He wants you to prove what He already knows. Show it, prove it for yourself. You deserve, تفضل, prove it. Yalla, you have the chance. No one is forcing you to stay with the betrayals and the traitors. You know that they are lying and they are killing, doing injustice. With whom you would like to say the haqq or to stand against the haqq? But what about the ghaib? No one is asking you about the ghaib. Do you have the chance? Yes, tfaddal. Say the haqq. No, I don't want. Okay. So the knowledge of Allah that I deserve Jahannam is proved to be true 100%. And it's impossible for Allah to do injustice. Now, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Al-Mawdudi says about this ayah, do you think that you would enter paradise even though Allah has not yet seen? This is the literal translation, has not seen. Allah knows, but this is an Arabic expression. وَلَمَّا يَعْلَمِ اللَّهِ. What is the ilm of Allah? Allah is not waiting to see like us. No, Allah knows in advance. The expression, the metaphorical, rhetorical meaning of وَلَمَّا يَعْلَمْ, and Allah has not proven it practically to you on your hand, which means تفضل. Yeah, it's your cause, yalla, do. Now, in this, when you combine إن يمسسكم قرح فقد مس القوم قرح مثله وليمحص الله أم حسبوا أم تدخلوا الجنة, I remember the following meaning now, which I will mention the Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani that. قال, now, in our faith, in our understanding for Islam, basically, one of the general umbrellas that we living underneath it is الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم. We are in a continuous test 24/7. Plus, وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالشَّرِّ وَالْخَيْرِ fitna. You will be exposed to very hot exams in what seems to be bad, which you hate. Is there anyone who would like to be killed? Who would like to be killed? No one. But if you go to fight the enemy of your country or your honor or your family, you might die. Is it something beloved or hatred? We hate. No one would like to. طيب, saying the haqq against a dictator could lead you where? Prison, tortured, killed. Who loves this? No one. By nature, no one. Anyone would love to stay at home enjoying the very nice zait and za'atar or kunafa or shawarma or whatever, or maqluba or kushari or whatever. This is what we will prefer. Okay? This is what we prefer. But, okay, we are in a continuous test. Part of the test, there is injustice. You have the means of the power to say no, or to stop it, or to reduce it, or to change it, or to remove it, or to speak with someone who is more powerful to reduce it, or to change it, or whatever. What are you doing? This is part of my test. I hate it. Simply, I want to enjoy staying at home, watching TV. This is what I would love. No, you are not allowed. This is the meaning of لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا ما آتاها. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا ما آتاها. One of the most dangerous verses in the Quran. Allah will not hold me accountable except in what He has given me. So what I was given will be part of my test. So therefore many people, they think that they have because they deserve. No, Habibi, you are tested. So if I became multimillionaire, wait. Becoming a multimillionaire means there is a big possibility to go to the bottom of Jahannam. Unless you do the haqq of these millions. Which means pay the zakah, pay the sadaqah, use the power of the money in the cause of Allah 24/7. Who does it among multimillionaire Muslims generally? What's the percentage? By the way, to the best of your knowledge, how many Muslims, multimillionaires, they pay the zakah? I'm not discussing the donation, the sadaqah, the zakah, the compulsory zakah. What do you think the percentage is?
40?
Very little. Very little. Wallahi billahi tallahi. I remember one of the masajid that I used to pray long time ago, I don't want to mention it. The Fajr prayer, I know in person 5 multimillionaires in the masjid. I know them personally, 5 multimillionaires, more than 20 years ago. Wallahi, I witnessed the Imam. You know, the central heating back home, we depend on the diesel. Okay? It's about 2 square meter of diesel, for example, each month, which cost 20 years ago 400 JDs a month, which is around more or less 900 Canadian dollar now. Let's say $1,000 a month for the masjid, which is like electricity now, at least 2,000, okay, or the HVAC or whatever, the AC. Anyway, I remember the Imam asking donations just to fill for 1 month or the season, okay, for 400 JDs, $1,000. About full week, Maghrib, Isha, Fajr, Maghrib, Isha, Fajr, Maghrib, Isha, Fajr, asking the people the donation. He could not complete the $1,000, and I know 5 in the first row of multimillionaires. To see how difficult to pay the money. And by Allah, to the best of my memory, none of them misses one Fajr prayer. By the way, coming to the Fajr prayer is nothing compared with paying the money, by the way. One of the most difficult. One of the most. That's why we were told in the Quran, لعلي أرجع فأعمل صالحا قال فأصدق وأكن. One of the most important thing when someone is faced with the angel of death, oh Allah, please give me just one chance to go back to do what? Sadaqah. Wow. It's a test. It's a big test. So, because some people they think, oh no, we are in a big test. وَنَبْلُوكُمْ بِالشَّرِّ وَالْخَيْرِ fitna. It seems to me خير, multimillionaire. No, multimillionaire means, Allah, I remember one of the masajid I used to pray, because this is part of وَلَيُمَحِّصَ Allah. Allah is distinguishing. Part of the sunnah. I remember in this same masjid, the Imam told me, the Imam used every Ramadan to give a special full khutbah about zakah. To remind the people. The area where I used to live, it was some very good area. So in the Jum'ah, you will find maybe 20% of the audience from those who pay the zakah. A lot of multimillionaires, okay? A lot. So he told me about an incident happened with him. It happened, one of the most well-known rich, traders in Jordan. He was praying in that masjid. I remember 20 years ago, his wealth used to be estimated with 850 million JDs, which means about $1.6 billion 20 years ago. As if now he's owning an average 5 to 7 billion Canadian dollar. Okay? He used to be, I will not mention what is the thing, but it is something, it's like saying, for example, Mr. Steve or Mr. Brown is in charge, for example, of eggs, meats, and milk in Canada. What does this mean? Billions. Okay? Or sugar, tea, for example, and all types of, for example, chocolates or cocoa, plus all types of sugar, which means billions. Anyway, so he gave a very powerful khutbah about zakah. When he finishes, this very rich man came to him. In our accent, he say, "Ya Sheikh, تقلت علينا اليوم." He did not mention anyone by his name. He was talking to the rich. Be fearful of Allah. There's a zakah. This is specific person. There's an Arabic expression. We say اللي عراسه بطحة بيحسس عليها. It's a metaphorical expression, means when you know inside yourself that you have done a mistake, you can't but exposing yourself. You will do something to show that you know that you are part of the problem. So he came to him. This came to the Khatib who was telling me the story. He said, come to me. I said, Sheikh, Imam, I think you hit us hardly today. You hit us. Because he knows he's part of the problem. By the way, at that time, the estimate of his of his yearly zakah, because 850 I'm 2.5 it was about 23 million Jordanian, which means about 50 million Canadian a year at that time. At least 3 times a yearly zakah. It was an average 150 million Canadian dollar a year. What does that mean? 15 millions a month. He came to this person. Look to I'm giving you these accurate details to see the disaster of the reaction. Who prays in the masjid? Huh? He does not drink alcohol. He does not commit zina. He's a very nice, good, conservative. Yet, look how he deals with money. He said, Ya Sheikh, you were so harsh against us today. Then, my friend, the Imam, he had the courage and the audacity to ask him directly. He said, please, do you pay the zakah? He said, yes. He said, can you tell me how you pay it? He said, we pay it. Just forget it. We pay it. He said, please, how do you pay it? He said, we pay it. He said, do you pay it by a paper and a pen? Which means, do you calculate it as you do your taxes? He said, no. Okay, please, how do you pay your zakah? Wallahi, you know what he said? Said, by the will of Allah, every time I go to a masjid, I put 50 JD as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows me. 50 JD when he goes to the masjid. His zakah is about 150 millions. And he's fully satisfied that he pays 50 JD in the masjid when he goes to the masjid. 150 millions. It's a mind-blowing. And this is one person. One person. For your quick information, in Edmonton alone, you know Edmonton? Edmonton. In Edmonton alone, 10 families from Lebanese origin, they own 2.1 billion Canadian dollar. 10 families in Edmonton. I'm not discussing the multi-billionaire Pakistani, Indian, Arabs in Toronto. Just in Edmonton. I once was mentioning this, that 10 Arab families in Edmonton, they say, brother, you have no idea about the Pakistani multi-billionaire in Toronto. You have no idea about Indians and Pakistani multi-millionaires. You know the zakah of Muslims in this country, it could be hundreds of millions. But how many of them they pay the zakah? This is another question. Here is the test. وَلِيُمَحِّصَ اللَّهِ, they say, أَمْ حَسِبْتُمْ أَن تَدْخُلُوا الْجَنَّةَ وَلَمَّا يَعْلَمِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا مِنكُمْ وَيَعْلَمَ الصَّابِرِينَ. Do you think you will enter paradise without Allah proving which of you truly struggled for His cause? For His cause could be jihad fi sabilillah. By part of His cause, by the way, struggling against the money that we love is part of the top ranks of jihad. Because we love the money. Many people they kill for money. Anyway, subhanallah. In this context, I remember now some stories. I prepared some of them now, and one of them came to my mind now. Type, how do we view the whole issue of this? Okay, we are in a test, we face difficulties, we are in a big trial, we are tested. But we as Muslims, you have our own perspective about when we lose our money, when we lose our lives, because this is battle, Uhud, jihad. We have the most important thing in existence, which is our souls. When you go to jihad to protect your honor, your country, your vulnerable people behind you, your people, your tribe, your family, your wife, you are losing your life. And the most expensive and the most important thing in your life. Then the money. Then your properties. You are losing everything. Type. Look what happened to Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani once. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, if you don't know who is he is the one who made the most well-known explanation of Sahih al-Bukhari, Fath al-Bari. When you speak Bukhari is the most authentic book after the Quran for Muslims. The prophetic sayings, hadith, sunnah. Now, it has many commentaries and many interpretations, explanations. The most well-known and the top of them called Fath al-Bari fi Sharh Sahih al-Bukhari. The one who wrote it, his name is Al-Imam Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani from Gaza. From Gaza. Asqalan. It's part of Gaza, historically. Or Gaza, part of Asqalan, the same area. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, he lived about 700 years from the day. He was called Amir al-Mu'mineen fil Hadith, the highest rank of scholarship in Ilm al-Hadith. One of the great scholars of Islam. The point. Now, he was a very high respected alim in Islam. At that time, he was once wearing his nice, beautiful clothes, riding a very, very expensive horse, going to the masjid or somewhere, and everyone respected him, everyone is saying salam, because very well known, great scholar in Islam. So it happened, he passed by someone from Ahl al-Kitab who was very, very, very poor, who was begging the people. He stopped Ibn Hajar. He said, "Ya Imam, I want to ask you something." He said, "You, Imam, I want to ask you something." He was an expert. This poor non-Muslim, he was an expert in Islam. Okay? He said, "Look, you claim that your prophet said, Ad-dunya sijnul mu'min wa jannatul kafir." He quoted the prophetic hadith, this non-believer, to Prophet Muhammad. He said, your prophet claims that as-dunya sijnul mu'min, this dunya, this worldly life, is the prison of the believer and jannatul non-believer. This is your prophet saying. And look at yourself and look at myself. Which means, look, I'm a non-believer according to you, but look, I'm being the people, I'm very poor, no dunya with me. Where's the dunya that I'm enjoying? And look at yourself, you are a believer, look, you have a nice horse, like stopping now a Muslim alim scholar. If, God forbid, you are begging the people outside the masjid and you are a non-believer, and you say, Sheikh Abdul Aziz, for example, coming with a Bugatti, and he has Rolex, okay? And he's putting Chanel, for example, and he has for example, 4 stories villa next to the lakeshore with $5 million, and he has 2 Ferraris there.
Definitely I ask him.
Huh?
Definitely ask him.
Yes, you will ask him. You say, hey, Sheikh, come. How come this is my Jannah and this is your sijin, your prison? Which is a logical question. قال فأطرق ابن حجر هُنَيْهَةً, which means he just had a moment of thought to think about the question. Then he raised his face in the face of the non-believer. قال والله حينما أتفكر ما أعد الله من النعم للعبد من المؤمنين فإني في سجن وحينما أرى ما أعد الله للكافرين من عذاب جهنم فإنك في جنة. Here comes the relativity now. Relativism. He said, when I think about what Allah has promised the believers in the Jannah, whatever goodness and khair will be nothing. It will be a disaster compared with the hereafter and the Jannah. And when I compare whatever you are facing compared with the Jahannam that you will be facing, you are in a real paradise. Even if you have nothing here. The fact that you are not in the bottom of the Jahannam. Now, in light of this meaning, I will quote to you this hadith because we are talking about testing, tamhis, and big tests, losing their lives, losing their money, losing everything. So we are in a big test, according to this surah.
Brilliant answer.
Yes, it was a brilliant answer. What's that? And look to this Sahih hadith now, confirming this meaning. The hadith قال يؤتى بأنعم أهل الدنيا فيغمس. I will say it in Arabic in full, then I will translate it into English. Hadith Sahih, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ says, يؤتى بأنعم أهل الدنيا من أهل النار يوم القيامة فيصبغ في النار صبغة ثم يقال يا ابن آدم هل رأيت خيرا قط؟ هل مر بك نعيم قط؟ فيقول لا والله يا ربي. ويؤتى بأشد الناس بؤسا في الدنيا من أهل الجنة فيصبغ صبغة في الجنة فيقال له يا ابن آدم هل رأيت بؤسا قط؟ هل مر بك شدة قط؟ فيقول لا والله يا ربي ما مر بي بؤس قط ولا رأيت شدة قط. On the day of judgment, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ in the Sahih Hadith says, on the day of, I need to enlarge the text very small. قال, on the day of judgment, the person who enjoyed the greatest luxury and comfort in worldly life among the people of hell, which means he was in the high top luxurious people on earth all of his life, but his end result is Jahannam. Okay? This person who enjoyed luxurious life for 70 years of his life, he will be brought, and قال, among the people of hell will be brought forward and dipped into hellfire for a single moment. قال يغمس. It's like just for a moment in Jahannam, which means he will witness Jahannam for a moment. Just. قال, then he will be asked, O son of Adam, have you ever experienced any goodness? Have you ever known any comfort or pleasure in your life? He will reply, no, by Allah, my Lord, I have never experienced any good or comfort. Khalas, deleted. Nothing left, one depth in Jahannam. And he was the most luxurious person on earth in this dunya. قال, likewise, the person who suffered, here comes now what we need for us. Likewise, the person who suffered the greatest hardship and misery in worldly life among the people of paradise will be brought forward and dipped into the paradise for a single moment. Then he will be asked, O son of Adam, have you ever experienced any hardship? Have you ever known any suffering or distress? He will reply, no, by Allah, my Lord, I have never experienced any misery, nor have I ever known any hardship. Here comes, by the way, no one can enjoy what we are talking about unless if you obtained the visa of Allah, which is Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Provide you believe, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger, and I believe that Al-Jannah haq, that the paradise is true, and Nar haq, and I believe that the day of judgment haq, it's truthful, and I believe the accountability is a must and a reality. If you don't believe in this, what I have explained now is just a waste of time. It's just a fake. That's why an unbeliever will not enjoy it. Here comes why the lowest rate of suicide committing on earth by Muslims, even though 75% of refugees on earth are Muslims. Do you know that 75% of refugees on earth are Muslims? Which means, I mean, who should finish his life? The one who's facing a very difficult life, or the one who's enjoying a luxurious life? Technically, according to the human thinking. Type. When you compare Japan, Sweden, Finland with Bangladesh. Seriously. Japan and Sweden, for the last 30 years, always from the top 5 high rates of suicide committing. For the last 30 years, from the top 5 always, Japan and Sweden. When the top high rank of financial situation, you know, the personal income, civilized life, materialistic life, whatever, you know, all Scandinavians in general, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, from the highest rate of suicide coming. Bangladesh, one of the poorest countries on earth, one of the lowest rates of suicide. According to what materialistic people claim, most of the people commit suicide because they are what? Poor, because they don't know what to do. But why those Muslims are not committing suicide? Logically, give me a convincing answer. Hayallah, Sheikh. Do you agree with this? By the way, Egypt as well. Don't we have, you know, below, but not just Egypt, Sudan, Palestine, Jordan, Iraq now. We have millions of poor people, millions. They are suffering below the poverty line. Why do not kill themselves? Wallah, you find an Egyptian, for example, he's hardly finding a piece of bread. And when he obtained this piece of bread, alhamdulillah, rida ya basha, alhamdulillah. ربنا يجزيك الله لا لا materialistically you are saying thanks for God for what? You are dying of the poverty. Why are you saying alhamdulillah? Because he realizes the ni'mah of Allah is not just this piece of bread. I'm already the fact that I'm living and I'm a believer, and at any time I might die and go to the paradise in itself a big ni'mah and big you need what? Strong faith to deal with this. This is I will stop by this inshallah bi'idhnillah. This is the meaning very quickly. إن يمسسكم قرح فقد مس القوم قرح مثله وتلك الأيام نداولها بين الناس وليعلم الله الذين آمنوا واتخذ منكم شهداء. If you have suffered injuries at Uhud, they suffered injury at Badr. We alternate these days of victory and defeat among people so that Allah reveal the true believers and choose martyrs. This is the concept, the philosophy of suffering and test and the universal law. Next time we will start with قول الله تعالى بإذن الله, which is وَلَقَدْ كُنْتُمْ تَمَنَّوْنَ الْمَوْتَ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ تَلْقَوْهُ فَقَدْ رَأَيْتُمُوهُ وَأَنْتُمْ تَنْظُرُونَ. You certainly wished for the opportunity for martyrdom before encountering it. Now you have seen it with your own eyes. Prove what you used to claim. Ya Allah, let me be a shaheed. Okay, the death is coming to you. تفضل, prove it. Which is inshallah next time بإذن المولى عز وجل. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.